Hello, we are here today on the Unrealest podcast, and we're going to talk about one of the hardest things about starting a prop tech company. Starting a real estate tech company. These are very highly regulated industries, and so you're handling what is often the most important or most expensive asset that somebody's ever owned before. And so it's real stuff, right? And so we can try to build really cool product around that or for that. But because it's so highly regulated, it can be very hard. And so I brought in our head of product, Justin Tannenbaum, today to talk about that with me. And before I introduce him, I'm going to talk about the Unrealest stat of the day. And today that stat is selfishly 36,000 transactions. We've done over 36,000 transactions helping people buy and sell homes all over the country. And why that's important is because, when Justin was brought in to partner with us, help us redo our product, the tough part about it was you couldn't just hand over the product, right? You had to have a bunch of customers who currently have a home listed and still walk them through their transactions seamlessly. It's an incredibly hard thing to do to simultaneously keep the old kind of rickety product that we built while also building the new one, transition everybody over and have it feel like you're not going to lose your home, right? So let me introduce Justin. Justin is someone I've come to really admire, enjoy working with. He has over 10 years of hardcore product experience. He's worked for Electronic Arts EA on the Madden team. I'm a huge fan of that as someone who enjoys playing Madden. He's a prolific real estate investor and owner. That's another reason we really wanted to work with him. He understands this not only from the product standpoint, but the core, sort of user standpoint. He's an expecting father, so congratulations, Justin. And a former pro gamer. You're welcome. That former pro gamer I just found out, which is amazing to me. The guy is good. So welcome to the pod.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me. And excited to be here. Excited for what we're building together. Excited for what our team's building together. And excited for our end users, our hundreds of thousands of end users who, experience our product, week in, week out, month in, month out, and the value we can bring to them.
Awesome. Thank you. So, all right, I want to talk about the origin story of our Unrealestate product. How has it evolved? What are you most excited about doing in the coming years?
Yeah, great question. And kind of just a small pivot on that, because I know we're kind of focused on regulatory. And I got to give yourself a shout out, right? Coming on, I've been working with you now for about 9 months, 10 months, something like that. And people always talk about first principles thinking and how to build product or how to build solutions into products. Right. And then you always hear Elon Musk and you hear other folks think about first principles this, first principles that, kind of this overhyped term. But I got to give kudos to you, right? Because in a highly regulated environment, which you went out and did, is you went out and acquired all your regulatory and licensing first, right? Before you ever even truly built a product, right? Through the acquisition of usrealestate.com and that brokerage, right? Gave us instantaneously national brokerage coverage in the majority of the U.S. Right. So when people always ask me, like, what are you working on, or why did you choose to work with Kyle in the Unrealestate team? I was like, well, because he didn't just go out and build a product, right? He didn't just start shipping code like right away, right? He actually thought first principles, highly regulated environment. Like, what should we actually do first, right? Is it a line of code? No, it's going out and getting all the licensing so that you can actually service as a national brokerage or build a product, nationally. And so I always got to give kudos to you on truly a first principles thought, right? I don't know of any other prop tech companies that origins start that way, right? Like, we really put regulatory first.
Yeah, no, thank you for saying that. I think it is unusual. We did it sort of backwards. We have a lot of scars to show for that. Because first of all, it's hard to raise against, right? And so it's hard to go to an investor and say, hey, this is my idea. I'm going to kind of do this backwards when they're pattern matching and they're used to seeing, the kid with the hoodie in the garage. Here's my first thing. And it's like, that sort of works, but it's really hard when you're regulated and you're actually trying to help somebody move something that might cost $300,000, $400,000 at a time, right?
Right.
But yeah, no, thank you for saying that. It was painful, but we did it. And I think it was the right decision to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, so right, that is the origin story, right, of our product, right? We approached it as regulatory first. Let's get all of our licenses and all of our ducks, entities, licensing, cross our T's, dot our I's, right? And then we can really turn to our product. And as you mentioned, right, traditionally over the last several years, usrealtor.com was heavily focused on the sell side of a modern real estate marketplace, right? Truly just selling homes for our users and having incredible transparency and incredible savings versus the traditional method. Right. So when I came in, best analogy is trying to change the oil, the tires, and the rear wing of the car while it's moving. Right. We had to service.
100%.
We had to service all of our current clients, all of our current users. Right. You already touched on this. It's the largest transaction that most people make in their lifetime. Right. It's also very personal, right? Because it's their home. So how do we continue to iterate and build upon this product but also launching a new products and layering in integrations and other products into it. Right. So in the last I guess 4 months, we've officially launched our buy side product. So you can now browse and search and discover great properties all across the U.S. Actually buy through us as well, and have that same great experience of transparency, cost savings, and doing everything digitally and online or remote, much as you did with our sell side product. We have an incredible team. I think our engineering and product team is a 12 right now. I mean, they are the nuts and bolts of what makes this company go around at the moment.
Yep.
Selfishly, from my point of view, right? That's not a knock on our other colleagues and friends, but hiring and getting that right, staffing and getting that right. But I think what's people always say people make your business, right? And that really is true. I will say, I think one of the best things that we've ever done as a company, right, is really look at it from remote and global workforce, right? We've got folks all over the US, in the EU, overseas, onshore, nearshore. It didn't matter where our teammates were, as long as they could communicate and could add value. We've been able to recruit some incredible talent because of that, right? And playing into that remote first, like global async culture has been a huge value add for us and our product and ultimately our users.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. It's not something we talk about a lot internally, but it's actually something that scared me a lot in the beginning. Shout out to the big homie, Jason Fried. He's someone that we've gotten advice from in the past here in Chicago, founder of Basecamp, and just huge proponent of remote. And I read his books, and I would read them and be like, that's cool for them. I don't really know that I'm ever going to be one of those people because I like an office. I like seeing everybody, getting that energy, the serendipity. You run into somebody at the sort of water cool, whatever, that whole thing, right? But, when COVID hit, we had to very quickly pivot to remote, right? And even though it's so funny, before that sort of week, I'll never forget, it was about a week in, I don't know if it was February, March, when COVID really first hit the United States really hard. And before that week or day, it was always discussed internally, like, it's kind of impossible to do this remotely. Like the way our systems were built, the way our customer service was layered, all that, we need people in the office. And then we sort of looked at each other in the face and said, okay, well, today we have to. And within like 72 hours, I feel like we were a it was like very fast. We could get there. But yeah, no, it's been different for us, and we make it work. And now I feel like it's the opposite. Instead of it almost like, or I think we're thriving on that. Like you said, we're able to attract talent from all over, and that talent has been, I couldn't fathom the team we built a couple of years ago. So I'm really proud of that as well. You and I talk about a lot of, when we're not, sort of grinding on the everyday, challenges of what you just described, changing the oil, the tires, everything all at once. We get to talk about some of the fun new stuff that we have brewing. So, what are some of the things you're most excited about in the coming years for this product?
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you asked it. I think you and I have a similar belief and mindset that real estate industry as a whole is going to change. I can't look into the crystal ball and tell you, is it tomorrow? Is it next week? Is it next year? Is it the next 10 years? Right? Who knows? And I would be skeptical of anyone who told you otherwise.
Yep.
But I truly believe in my hypothesis and what I'm seeing, both from a macro viewpoint and even on our platform. Right, we're seeing a lot of changes to traditional buying and selling of residential real property, right? And so some of the things I'm really looking forward to is access for all, right? Getting real property data, on chain or through oracles to get on chain. I think there's a huge Web3 component for data transparency, for access, to prevent gatekeeping, to deliver, freedom of information. Really, at the end of it, right? The real estate vertical, really throughout its years, has been blocked by protectionism and gatekeeping, whether it's been through laws and regulations, which for the most part are very good, right? They're needed. They're there for a reason. I get it and I understand. I respect it. It's been, it's probably the most regulated and well lobbied industry,
Tell me about it.
right? compared to most. But I truly do believe, it's not a matter of if, but rather when. Does Web3 and some of our emerging technologies, seep into this space? So that's what I'm most excited about our platform. Looking forward, into my crystal ball, where we can head with this, right? One of our engineering, team's kind of core beliefs and tenets and goals, right? Like blue sky goals is, we want to build the world's largest residential real property database in the country, right? And we're well on our way. So I think about all the good we can do, all the freedom of information we can have to empower our users and people across the U.S. to buy and sell real residential property. Granted, obviously, rules, regulations, both state, federal, county, right? All of that will have to catch up. But I get real excited thinking about the ways Web3 can really impact real estate. That's like my outlandish, far out take. I'd say, like, in the near term, right? I'm really excited about kind of what E-Trade or Scottrade or heck, even Robinhood did for retail investors, right? That we can do for retail, retail folks who will buy and sell residential real property, right? Again, I want to be very, very clear. Like, we're not here to disrupt real estate agents. So we don't even think real estate agents are bad, right?
Yeah, we
It's
employ
not
agents, right? So it's one of these
exactly
weird
like,
things. It's
yeah. Like, we have our own agents in house, right? We are a national licensed brokerage, right? But I think it's giving that freedom of information, empowering people to make their own decisions, reduce protectionism, reduce gatekeeping, letting people make their own decisions for their own well-being. Ultimately, putting more money in their pocket is a great thing. So that's kind of what I'm really about and what I'm looking forward towards in the long term, right? With kind of Web3 into real estate, and we can dive deeper in that if you want, or kind of in the short term, how we're delivering value to our end users.
Yeah, no, I think that was it's interesting. You went right to Web3. It's something that is it's always on our minds. It's funny how the market with the market sort of swooning and people really pulling back on crypto. We always talk internally about our true north as a company, and you can't chase fads, right? But when it's right, when the opportunity can actually open the door to more transparency, more cost savings, I think that you have to stick with that, right? I think for us, one of the very first things we did as a company was create a flat fee MLS listing, right? And now what you've done is taken that and automated that so that it can be done in, I don't know, 10, 15, whatever it is. It's very fast, right? I look at Web3, I don't get evangelical about it. To me, it's just another tool. It's another, using the blockchain to, reduce costs, increase transparency. It's another tool in the toolbox that we can use, right? So, no, I think that's really cool. I'm glad that's where your head's at. Switching gears a little bit. So we talked earlier about how you actually just, before we even met, you were like pretty heavy in real estate as an investor, as an owner, bought and sold properties. Would love to understand. It's funny. So many people on our team are like that. It's almost like, we have a few things that I found commonalities in our team. People are like almost like enthusiasts for real estate. I would almost describe it like that. Enthusiasts for like just business. Like I hear people all the time, even on our channels talking about, different happenings in mergers and acquisitions. And of course we have a bunch of sneakerheads on the team too, which we'll get into, but yeah, so you're a real estate investor. What's been working for you? And what do you think are sort of some of the best, sort of investing opportunities out there right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to give at least one shout out. Shout out to my parents because they are the ones who got me interested in real estate investing. I watched them do it, all through my
Okay.
childhood and growing up. So probably heavily influenced from them, and lucky to have had a front row seat to that.
That's
But
cool.
but yeah, absolutely, you're right. So been heavily invested both in residential and commercial assets. To date, right now, my portfolio consists of uh, over 6 mobile home parks, an apartment complex, 5 laundromats, 3 car washes, and we just closed on 13 acres that we're converting and entitling from residential to industrial storage, actually for
Huh.
the Port of Savannah. Um,
Okay.
so those are kind of like my investments, investor operator play, and kind of answer your question. Our thesis, and it's pretty simple, right? In the next 10 years, we're going to see the largest transition of wealth from the baby boomer generation to the next generation, whether it's through
Yep.
death or through retirement, right? Or some type of succession plan. And what we're seeing and what we're finding is a lot of the baby boomers' children or heirs to a lot of these small, medium-sized businesses, or real estate-backed businesses, I should say, right, aren't interested in them. Right? They're not sexy. It's not tech.
They
It's
don't want to
not.
do that work. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to go out there. You got to manage. You got a bad tenant. You got to, yeah. It's really, sometimes we talk about this, and when you're managing these challenges, they're not easy, right? But obviously, huge opportunities available there if you're willing to put in the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're willing to put in the work, what's the Edison quote? Opportunity shows up every day at your front door. It's just dressed in overalls and looks like work.
Yep.
I think something like that, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
that's where the alpha is. Investors always want to talk about alpha, their secret algorithm, or their this is to deliver alpha. No, the alpha is in the dirty, actual day in day out
Mm-hmm.
work that is
Yep.
tough, and you have to be actually hands on and operate in it. So anyway, back to the point. Our playbook is pretty straightforward, right? It's finding retiring real estate backed small to medium sized businesses, car washes, laundromats, mom and pop, apartment complexes, etc. In the Sun Belt communities. It's mostly, actually not mostly, all in the southeastern part of the United States. Very business friendly, very landlord tenant law friendly, um, and acquiring them mostly off market. I would say,
Hmm.
except for one we found on market. Mostly finding them off market through cold calls, cold acquisitions, networking.
More
Having
work.
someone down there. Yep, more work, exactly,
Right?
more work.
Like you don't want to just go on and find the listing. You have to start hitting the phones, right?
Right, right.
Making those personal connections. It's very manual, but it gives you an edge.
But it works, right? So going in there, acquiring them, in some instances, stabilizing them, or heavily capex investing in them, turning them around, getting rents to market, adding value for the tenants. You know, Sometimes it's heavy capex, but honestly, given my background, it's a lot of like just operational improvements, like streamlining
Okay.
back office ops, bringing in everything to the cloud, everything digitally, right? A lot of these operations still do their books pen and paper, right? And so there's
Unbelievable.
a lot
Yeah.
of, yeah, there's a lot of just cost savings and kind of efficiencies you can gain. And as we keep scaling, right, our back office remains the same, but we're able to do more with less, right? So we can continue to get these our OPEX down and stays the same. Um, and they're beautiful cash flowing investments, right? The second part of that is looking at these non-sexy kind of real estate backed places is more or less, it was for me personally, it was a hedge against inflation, and it was a hedge against recessionary times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Historically speaking, throughout real property and in particular apartments, mobile homes, storage, more like more affordable housing has been historically typically recession proof.
Yeah.
And so that's really kind of our playbook. And we're typically buy and hold investors. We love the depreciation aspect of our investments. Um, and Yeah, and then I think your last question was, what do I see moving forward, or like what would I make a recommendation of, or another asset class that I would be really interested in. It's funny, I follow everyone on Twitter, like real estate Twitter, or retweet, as we like to say,
Yep.
and so maybe influenced by them. But if I was to do it all over again right now, I would probably be making plays for Class B, Class C industrial, outside either major markets or tertiary, secondary markets, uh,
Yep.
purely for the e-com plays, right?
Oh, sure. All the
Direct to
distribution,
consumer.
shipping, yeah,
Yep.
drop shipping, all that whole world.
Yep.
It's not getting any smaller.
It is not getting any smaller. And yes, I'm sure someone's gonna say in the comments, but Amazon's selling all their warehouse space.
Hmm.
True, absolutely they were, but they also scaled up during the 2020 COVID, right? So maybe they overscaled, and now they're selling some of the excess capacity that they have. But yeah, between drop shippers, the direct to consumer folks, the influencer folks who are coming out with brands, people, anyone with audience that needs brands, you have to store physical stuff somewhere. And I do not see that going away. So if I was to do it all over again right now, it would be class B, preferably, maybe a class C that we could invest some capex into to get to class B, either in major or secondary markets, and in particular the Sun Belt states, and lower Southeast in particular, and yeah, purely on the hypothesis of like direct to consumer and e-commerce is not going to go anywhere. So
I love that. I love that. Okay, so it's going to do a quick recap. I think we talked about just a general idea around regulations and how that's really sort of driven our product, the compliance, everything we had to set up sort of as a foundation before, and then the sort of difficulty of jumping in while that's still moving and not missing a beat, which I think you've totally crushed it on. We talk about team, the importance of team. I think we really, obviously, we couldn't do any of this without just a sick team with a global footprint. That's actually, I think, really for me, like one of the big game changers. I mean, you're in Nashville, I'm in
mhm.
Chicago. We work together every day, usually like this, across the screen, and it's really helped us to accelerate the company. We talked Web3, which is something that we remain super excited about. Huge opportunities in there, I think, to increase transparency, reduce costs further. And then we talked about your sort of passion as an investor for real estate, and huge opportunities. It sounds like in things that are real estate backed, that are transitioning between generations, which I think is a theme across across the board in so many industries. But the fact that you can do these deals sort of and underwrite them with real estate behind them, I think allows you to add leverage, right? Allows you to find opportunities to improve the operations a lot easier with your background in software and product. It's really pretty amazing. So I think, right now is the time. First of all, I want to thank you for taking time out. I know how busy you are personally. I can see our Slack channel on my other screen blowing up, so I know it. Thank you for taking the time out. We everybody gets a gift. So you'll be getting a gift in the mail for your time here today. Thank you.
Awesome.
And then we're gonna do a fit check. We usually either do like a piece that you're wearing that you have a story about, or a sneaker. We have so many sneakerheads at this company, or a sneaker check. I'm gonna start it off. I think it's fair I go first, and I'm gonna highlight this Tom Brown cardigan. I'm a geek for sort of weird cardigans. My team, just to tell the audience here, clowns me about it all the time. I think once I wore one of my gigantic yellow sweatshirt I have, and Justin said I look like Big Bird and you haven't seen me on a Zoom with that yet. You clown me. I had to take it off that day. It was so painful. But yeah, I love these. And so this one, it's, Tom Brown's one of my favorite designers. I got this on one of those online sites where you have to bid against other people. I used to be a banker, and we did this deal. We were representing Adidas buying this company called 510, this climbing shoes, which I know nothing about, but had to do a deep dive and learn everything about. I've never climbed a wall in my life at this point. Haven't learned everything about. So at the end of that deal, it got done, and I'm like, oh, that was so painful. But back when I was getting banker money, I was like, all right, I'm going to buy myself something stupid. And I saw this cardigan, so I splurged.
That's my something check. Stupid. That's good. That's awesome. All right.
So what you got?
Yeah. So I'm a University of Tennessee, Knoxville undergrad graduate. So go Vols. It's the middle of college football season. And obviously it says Friday. So for UT, we call it GBO, Go Big Orange, or Big Orange Friday, right? And you can probably see some of the hashtags. So today I'm rocking my Vols hat, but for sneaker wise, I'm rocking the Jordan 1 Gatorades.
Oh, those are fire.
So
those are really nice.
So we got the Gatorade tags on them.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That, that might be the best one I've seen. You got, we're going to see what our guests. That's a good fit check. Very nice.
Absolutely. Kyle, man, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Dude, my pleasure. I think that's all we have for today. Thanks again. We'll chat soon.
Awesome. See ya.